Measurements that you need for a jilbab. First measurement, you will measure from ear to ear, like this. Second measurement, you will measure right up under the neck, ear to ear as well. Third measurement, you're going to measure right up under the neck, all the way down to the knee, or however long you want the front part to be. Fourth measurement, you will measure from the hairline to the back of the knee, all the way down to the back of the knee, or however long you want the back pieces to be. Fourth measurement is your sleeves. You will measure from wrist to wrist, like this. And then the last measurement, you're going to measure around your wrist. These are the measurements that you will need to make a jilbab. You're going to measure from the tip of your head all the way down to where your neck is, or down to your shoulder where your neck and shoulder meet. You're going to measure from there. This is going to be your last measurement that you will need. So now once you have recorded your measurements, you are going to divide them. Now what are you dividing exactly? Out of the 7 measurements you took, you're going to divide 4 of them. The forehead, under the chin, the wrist, and also your sleeve. And you're going to divide all of them by 2. For my customer, I got 2 yards, but I'm only going to use 1.5 yards. Any kids under 5 is 2 yards, and adults are 4 yards. Now, those 2 yards, you are going to fold it in half and cut it in the middle. You put one piece to the side. Now the piece that's left, you will fold that piece in half and cut it in the middle as well. You put that piece to the side, you're going to end up having 3 pieces. One piece that is 1 yard long and 2 pieces that are half a yard long. So the piece that is half a yard, you will take one of them and we're going to work with that. And this is going to be our first piece that we're going to work with, and it's going to be our back piece. Customer's back piece is 24. So you're going to take that number from the end of the fabric and measure up to where the 1 is. Once you get to the 1, you're going to mark it. Once you mark where the 1 is, you're going to move 1 inch up to where the 1 is. This 1 inch is for your seam allowance. Now you're going to remeasure from the new mark to the bottom. You should have about 25 inches. Now, once you mark whatever measurement you're using, now we're going to do the neck hole. For the neck hole standard, all kids are 3 and all adults are 5. So since I'm using a child, it's going to be 3. I'm going to measure from where I mark the 1 all the way to 3. And once you mark that from the end of the point all the way down to 3, now we are going to place the neck length. Now for the neck length, you're going to take the end of the 3 that you mark, or 5, whoever you're making it for. Then you're going to go down to whatever number you got when you measure your neck length. Now this is going to indicate where your shoulder is going to start, or your sleeve. So for my customer's sleeve, remember this was the wrist to wrist measurement. Her measurement is 26. So I divide that by 2 and that marks 13. So I measured from the end all the way down to 13. Now for my customer, she is going to have ruffles, and those are going to be about 3 inches. So just keep that in mind. Now what we're going to do is just trace it, or dotted lines, from where we mark the 13 or your own measurement to the end of the fabric. Once we get there, we are going to draw a line down. At this point, we are done. But whenever I am drawing my line all the way down, I don't like drawing it straight down. I kind of draw it slanted so it can give whoever I am making the items to more room to move around. And now we're going to connect this dotted point to where we marked our neck hole, in this case where we marked the 3. And we're just going to connect those 3 dots as so, and it's going to end up looking like this once you're done connecting it and cutting it out. Now, I don't like how there is like a little point at the triangle. So we are going to make a dotted line just like this, and we're going to cut right along that dotted line. And this is just so it can give it a more rounded bottom than a straight one. So here we are going to snip our sleeve. You're not going to cut a lot, you're just going to snip for indication. So where our sleeve was, from that line, you're going to snip right there, and then you're going to go down however long your wrist was. Remember, your wrist, you divided by 2, and the number that you got when you divided by 2, you're going to go from the shoulder point or the sleeve point down to that number. Now we're going to sew. For the sewing area, you're going to start from this point, go down to the knot, and stop there. You're going to leave the middle open, and you're going to go to the other knot, sew all the way up to the neck, and you're going to stop there, leave the neck part open, and you're going to repeat the process to the other side. Don't forget to fold the sides twice and hem all the way around. Then we're going to lay it down flat. We're going to take the shorter side. We're going to fold that in half as so. We're going to lay it down. Once we do, we're going to make sure it has the little V shape. And then we're going to measure 1 to 2 inches, mark it, and then we're going to curve a line along that side. And once we do, we're just going to make sure it's kind of curved and not straight, so it can kind of make that little curve starting from the top all the way down. Then we're just going to snip it and cut that triangle piece out. Now we're going to put that to the side. We are going to get another piece that is 34 length by 11 width. All right, once we have those measurements, we're going to fold it in half long ways. Once we fold it in half horizontally, now we're going to go ahead and fold it vertically short ways. All right, so now we're going to measure how thick we want our bend to be, and we're standard. It is 4 inches is standard, and this applies for both kids and adult. So you're going to start from the 1, mark it 4, and then you're going to go to the other end. This here, you're going to mark it 2. This is also standard. You can make this as skinny as you want, and the top part you can make it as thick as you want. Now for the forehead measurement that we took from ear to ear across the forehead, my customer was 10. I divided by 2, which got me 5, and that's where I am marking. And then from that 5 point, you're going to go ahead and connect this to the end. Now there is options here. You can go ahead and just connect it straight down to make it straight, or you can kind of curve it a little bit right here as I did. And once we are done with that, we're just going to simply just cut away. And once we are done cutting, it's going to look like this. Now the reason why it was folded is because if we open it, it is going to look like this. We're just going to have one big piece. And with this, what we're going to do is sew along here, all the way here, and stop here. Then we're going to, the other side, sew across all the way and stop here. We're going to leave this middle part open. Once we're done with that, we are just simply going to flip it around, and we're going to iron all of the pieces down so they can be nice and flat. Once we're done, we're going to grab our big piece and we're going to connect it together. Now we're going to connect it to the top piece, which is the longer part, not the bottom. And to indicate it, you can either mark the middle part, or you can just fold it in half and iron it down. So you can have that little fold, you can know where the middle piece is. Now what we're going to do is just connect it from this. Make sure it's open like that, and you're not sewing them together. Please don't sew them together. There are 2 separate pieces. So you're going to connect, you're going to choose one side. It doesn't matter which side you choose. And you're going to connect it to the point where you folded or marked. And then you're going to go ahead and pin along until you are finished with the band side. Once you're done with that, you're just going to continue on to pin until you reach to the end of the bend. Not the end of the jilbab, the end of the bend. Once you reach there, you're going to pin the other side, and you're just going to simply sew across it. Once you're done pinning, you're just going to simply sew across. Please make sure it is only one side of the bend that you pin and not the other side. Once you're done pinning and connecting the side, it's going to look something like this. And you're just going to go ahead and sew. You're just going to sew where you have pinned right there. See how it looks? Then you're going to take this part. It's going to open like this. You're going to take this part and sew along all the way around here. Now, while you're doing this, it's going to look like this. This is the neck, right? This is the neck, and this is the back piece. So this is the neck, and this is the back piece. And then you're just going to sew around. Once you are done sewing it, it should look like this. It should look like this once you're done sewing it. Now the only thing left is for us to add the hands. Now we're gonna go ahead and do the hands. Once you're done with that, you're going to get a piece that is 15 by 11. It is actually 30 by 11, but I just folded it in half and it became 15 by 11. Now for my ruffles, my customer hers is 3. But I'm going to make it 5 because one is going to be for the seam allowance and the other one is going to be the thickness of where her wrist is going to be. Now this is optional, you don't have to do this part. Now I'm just going to go ahead and measure all the way across. Now my customer's wrist was 7. Now since this is going to be elastic, we're going to double 7. So doubling 7 makes it 14. So I'm going to start measuring from the dot all the way down to 14, marking that and then cutting it straight out. And once you're done cutting, just remember this is along the fold. So you're going to cut right here once you're done. Now for the 2 pieces that you're going to get, you're simply just going to go ahead and pick an end, fold it twice, and just iron it down. The reason why we are folding it twice, it is just so we can have it neat. So you fold it once, you iron it down, then you fold it again twice, you iron it down. You do the same to the other piece. Now we are off to the fun part. Now we are going to go ahead and put the elastic on the wrist. With the elastic, your bottom thread, please make sure it is a stretchy bottom thread, because if it's not stretchy, this is not going to work. And with the stretchy bottom thread, you will also need to change your presser foot. I am using N. You don't necessarily have to, but if I change it, it's easier. Using N is just much easier. Now what you're going to do is snip. You're going to thread it on the bobbin. Then you're going to hand wind it. You cannot use the machine because it is stretchy. So you're going to hand wind it all the way to as it gets full. Once you are done with that, you're going to go ahead and connect it to your machine and you're going to get to sewing. Now, whenever you're sewing, make sure you can indicate which side is the pretty side, which one is the ugly side, and make sure the pretty side is facing up and the ugly side is facing down, so the elastic can be where the ugly side is and the top thread will be on top so it doesn't show. And I always like to put my hand on it instead of pulling it out. This just creates more ruffles when I do so. And it's gonna look like this, and you're just gonna repeat the process throughout the whole thing. Once you're done with the process, it's going to look like this on both sides, both hands, and you're just gonna go ahead and connect them to the body. Now when you are sewing it, you're just going to make sure pretty sides are together as always. So you will put the hands through, you will match it end to end, and you're just going to simply just sew all the way across. You can pin it in place for extra support, and once you're done with that, you will sew it. Once you're done with that, you'll pull it out and just sew straight down. Once you are done, it is going to look like this. Now we're done with the jilbab. We're going to go ahead and move on to the skirt. Now for the skirt, my customer, her skirt length was 19, so I made it 19 by 15. Now for the 15, remember it's folded in half, so that's actually 19 by 30. 19 by 30, and we made that 30 because my customer's waist is 15. So you take 15, multiply it by 2, you'll get 30. Then you make the width of the skirt 30, and you make the length by how long the skirt you want it to be. Once you do that, you go ahead and cut it. And when you're making your elastic, you also make your elastic 15, not 30. You cut your elastic 15. And then once you do that, because 15 will be the baby's waist, so it doesn't have to be too big. Once you're done, it's gonna look like this. Then you're just gonna go ahead and sew along there, sew it, and then you're also going to sew the hole that's left when you was putting in your elastic, and that's it. This is our final product. Yay, alhamdulillah. Now this is my first YouTube video. There's a lot of improvement that I need to do, and if there was any confusion or any questions, feel free to comment them down below, and I will further either explain it on another video or just simply answer your comment. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.